Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov. In this week's Torah portion, after the flood, Noah finally exits the ark. And the first commandment that God gives him is Peru Urevu, be fruitful and multiply and populate the world. Although God had already given this commandment to Adam, God redirects Noah to be fruitful and multiply. Because now that the world was destroyed through the flood, it was time to repopulate the world. But our rabbis point out that this commandment to Noah to be fruitful and multiply was not given once after the ark, but twice. And the question is, why did God repeat the same commandment to Noah twice? And our rabbis answer that the first time God told him to be fruitful and multiply, it was a commandment. But the second time, God reiterated it, not as a commandment, but as a blessing. Because you see, there are some commandments that we could go and do immediately. We could go give charity immediately. We could eat kosher immediately. We could put on our tefillin immediately. We could put up a mezuzah immediately. There's nothing that prevents us. But when it comes to being fruitful and multiplying, we have to be blessed to first find our spouse. And then we have to be blessed to be able to conceive and have children. And therefore, it's not enough for God to command us to do it. God gives us a blessing as well. And the message is that we have to do our part. We have to engage in performing God's commandments. We have to seek out our spouses and try to have children, but that's true in all commandments. We will do our part. Why? Because God commanded us. He instructed us to do so. And then God will send the blessing. And just like after the flood, God gave a particular blessing to be able to repopulate the world after the tragedy of the flood, so too is true in every generation. After the Holocaust, we were blessed with Israel. And once again, the Jewish people were flourishing. And now, after the tragedy of October 7th, we will see a particular blessing in being able to regain our strength, our momentum, and our Jewish population. But every one of us must take the commandment to heart and do their part to help grow the Jewish nation, to be able to overcome the tragedy and the losses that we experienced. On October 7th, one of the heroic fighters who fought valiantly to defend Kfar Aza was a young man by the name of Amichai Vanino. And tragically, he was killed and fell in battle. At the Shiva, where his family was sitting and mourning his tragic loss, a friend of his mother came to console her. And at the end of the Shiva visit, as they were leaving, they embraced, and the friend said to Amichai's mother, Leah, God willing, we should meet on happy occasions, which is a very Jewish thing to wish people on sad occasions. May we meet on smachot, on happy occasions. To which the mother of Amichai responded, yes, we should meet at our children, Devorah and Chaim's wedding. Now what she meant to say was that we both have single children. May my daughter and your son find their respective spouses and we'll meet on happy occasions. But the woman who came to console her understood it to mean that she was suggesting a shidduch between her daughter and her son. And so she went home and thought about it, and she said, absolutely, it sounds like a great idea. And through a family friend, after the Shloshim period, the 30th day of mourning was over, went and introduced the boy and the groom and suggested the shidduch. And just last week, this beautiful couple got married and stood under the chuppah. And their brother Amichai, who fell on October 7th defending Kfar Aza, was considered the matchmaker who brought them together. Yes, through tragic circumstances, but ultimately that's how the shidduch came about. This is what the Jewish people do. We steal joy from the jaws of tragedy. In the midst of our sadness, in the midst of our mourning, we say, God willing, Peru Revu, we will be fruitful and multiply. Not just physically being fruitful and multiply, but all our efforts, all of our causes that are devoted to building and strengthening Am Yisrael in every which way, whether it's building a strong community here in Palm Beach, or whether it's supporting worthy causes in Israel, God says, go ahead, be fruitful, multiply, do more now than ever before, because it's vital now to rebuild after the losses. And yes, a second time, I will bless your efforts. You will be more successful now than ever, because there's a special commandment that after you suffer a decline, a loss, you now are instructed to regain your strength and proliferate, increase, multiply, and God will bless us all in our efforts. Have a wonderful day.